How are you able to give these 50 to 90% discounts that we've sort of seen? How does that work?
Hi, good evening. I'm Jacqueline, and thanks for coming once again. Thanks for the support. It's our third time returning to Colombo, and we were so excited coming back this year. Back for those who don't know Big Bad Wolf that well, I think I have probably some of you all might know because I have spoken about the story before. Big Bad Wolf started with a mission to increase readership, a mission to increase English literacy. So when Big Bad Wolf started in Malaysia in 2009, before that we had a small little bookstore in Malaysia. 2007 is when me and my husband opened our first bookstore. I think in most part of the world where our currency is not very strong, anything imported is very, very expensive. At that time, the newspaper was reporting only 2% of the population is reading, back in Malaysia. I know Sri Lanka, you guys read more. And I feel that that is such a blessing, right? So when you want to convert a non-reader to a reader, when you want to tell someone the joy of reading, it's almost impossible to explain unless you have read a book yourself, right? So the only way that we could encourage is for the children. If the parents do not read, most of the time the child don't get to read, right? Because who else is going to cultivate the habit if you don't grow up with books, if you don't grow up with an education system that encourage reading at the same time? So prices is one very important factor, right? If the book is not affordable, it's very hard for the parent to be encouraged as well to buy a book for a child to try to encourage them to read. So with that in mind, we started the bookshop with the similar discount, 50 to 80% at that time, just to make it easier and less of a burden for parents at that time. It's not just children books, of course we have books for adults as well. But you know how difficult it is for one tiny bookstore in one small little neighborhood mall in Malaysia to do that. It's almost impossible. So in 2009, 2 years after opening the bookstore, where we have a small little customer base, you know that when you go to an event, whatever event, when you go to an event, normally you don't go alone. You go with someone else. And that someone else that you bring is that person that we hope to convert. It's that person that we hope could be inspired, you know, by looking at the books. If you don't go to a bookstore, you actually don't know what's out there, right? And with the prices low enough for you to want to try buying a book that seems interesting, that is the whole mission of Big Bad Wolf. And for our customers, our primary customers who are of course readers, who are excited to come to the fair, they are the ones that are going to be a strong advocate for Big Bad Wolf because they're going to be so excited because you know the value of books. You know that, you know, the people who are so excited like yourself are the ones who like, oh my god, you know, this book is 600 rupees, right? And what we are hoping is that you know the value of book, you know what kind of joy it brings to your life. We're hoping that you could buy one more to give to a friend or your friend's child, you know, or even the book that you read, share with someone else, right? So that is primarily the gist of Big Bad Wolf, and that is why the price is the magic factor of why it will work. It's only when the book can be made affordable that we could spread that joy.
That was actually an interesting observation that Sri Lankans read more. So I'd like to put the next question to you then, which sort of, I'm curious as to how much more Sri Lankans read. So what was it like? What were the numbers like last time? And what do you expect them to be like this time?
Last time, the head count was over 200,000 people who visited the sale. So to complement and supplement what Jack said, yes, you're right, because Sri Lanka, our literacy rate is very high, readership is very high. But then, with the economic conditions, if we don't get the books at this price, then it's not affordable. So thank you once again, Big Bad Wolf. So, to add to all that, I should always say that the people who participated really enjoyed, and the response that we've got is immense. Now, වැඩිපුර කියනවා නම් ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් අපි මේ එන හැම එක්කෙනාගේම විසිට් කරලා තියෙන හැම එක්කෙනාගේම කමෙන්ට්ස් Baluama, it's immense. And Harima encouraging. That encourages them to come again and again because of the views and the reviews of people. So I think we are looking forward to a bigger and a better sale this time.
So I have to ask, what's new this time? And sort of what do you have in mind?
I think the most important or our biggest star for the year and for the show are these. These are our augmented reality books. What they do is help children who are not naturally inclined to reading to take that first steps into picking up a book. Admittedly, with the help of a device, which many kids are quite used to using tablets and phones, but that is now the step into reading, the first step to reading. And with these books, we will have a demo later for you, but the idea is to get children activated and understand that there's more to reading books than just words and pictures. This is a gateway to greater imagination, and that's what these books do. So this is the star of the show this year. We have 13 different titles to choose from, but we also have many new books compared to previous years. I'm just picking on what Jack and Nishan mentioned, and regarding Sri Lankans being more avid readers than say Malaysians. And this is something we found in our last 2 years, where in other countries, naturally people would buy books for their children first and then buy for themselves. The trend here is a little bit different. People buy books for themselves first, and if they have any extra budget, okay, let's buy the kids some books.
Yeah, that sounds like
So with that in mind, many of our books this year are actually new, stuff that you've never seen before in our sales. And I think all our customers will find something that they will like. They'll find appealing this year for sure.
Are there any plans to expand Big Bad Wolf to other cities in Sri Lanka? Will we see that soon?
Actually, we've had many discussions among us to take the Big Bad Wolf town to town. But the only obstacle that we have is a proper location. Even in Colombo, we are finding it very difficult to have it at SLECC, because compared to Thailand or Indonesia or Malaysia, I mean, we are about 25% size in even at SLECC. And BMICH is literally booked even 2020. So we are lacking. We are hoping the new port city or wherever we will have a better location. So then we came on to discussing of having mini Big Bad Wolves in different towns. But yet the plans were in the cards to do it just after the sale, to take it to Kandy, Galle or Matara, about 3 cities. But then the problem was again the cost. So the operational costs will not be covered if you don't have a proper space and if you don't have a proper sale. So that is the barrier that we need to basically cross. Probably next year, yes, we will definitely plan, because what we feel is, okay, the people from very far end of Sri Lanka are unable to come, but they know it, they are aware, but they are unable to come, they are unable to travel only for books to Colombo. So we are trying to, see any possibility of taking at least a mini version to different parts of the country.
So let's sort of go over the particulars of this Big Bad Wolf. It's happening from 18th October to 28th October, and what's on the board, discounts and such. But I looked over the schedule, and there is one obvious and immediate difference between last time, in the sense that this time it won't be open 24/7 all the time. It'll be 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on the weekdays, and then on the weekends you have it open. Why the change?
There were concerns. There were situations in the country as well. So, but then now it's 100% normal. So that's one. The second problem is that with the dollar fluctuation, the rupee fluctuation and the dollar rising, the cost of operation basically skyrocketed. Even the hall charges, because it's 24 hours AC, all that, the charges are very high. So that's why we thought, okay, we will encourage people to come between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. during the weekdays, and then somehow we are opening it from 10 a.m. on Friday up until 12 midnight on Sunday, the 2 weekends.
So, I mean, this is amazing, and actually, thank you guys for bringing the event, despite, as Zishan said, despite all the stuff that happened in the country. Will there be a preview day this time? Because there was last time. Are we having one? And when does it open?
17th is the preview day. Yes.
Right. So, I want to ask almost a whimsical question from Ms. Jack, if you will. One thing you talked about was how to get people to read. And I admire the sort of marketing change strategy going on there. If you could sort of, given all of that, all of what you've done, and starting out with that little room basically and expanding it outwards, if you could go back in time and change one thing, what would it be?
I think for my life, as in person, I mean, of course, business is my life as well. I actually wouldn't change a thing. Yeah, I mean, not that my life has been a bed of roses. I'm in my second marriage now. The thing is that what I have learned recently, where so much books on mindfulness, and spirituality, what I have learned is that everything that happened to us is for a reason. Yes. And everything that happened to us get us to where we are today. And to be in this very privileged position, to own a business that has this purpose, that is able to create, able to inspire, able to empower so many people in the world, I felt tremendously privileged to have this, and to able to bring forth, while we do in a very small way, to be able to change the world one book at a time. And we are in 10 countries now. We are doing 32 cities this year, and the business continuing to expand. But every new city that we go, where you see, you brought so much joy. When you can see with your own eyes, you can feel with your heart, the smile on people's faces, the joy, through Red Readerhood, where you go to underprivileged children and communities, you feel that I mean, how else could be so blessed for you to have that opportunity to reach out? And we are still continuing to grow in that sense, right? But if you talk about, so I won't change anything, because whatever I've changed, I don't think I will be who we are today, to meet and fall in love with my husband, to be able to start this business and so forth, right? The people that we met that make the whole business possible, the team that we built. We started with one little store. I only got one employee at that time. Yeah. Now we have 680. Every single country we work with a local partner. If not, it's impossible. That's the very step one of Big Bad Wolf. We need a local partner that could also view this business not as a commercial business, but as a mission. It takes someone with a very big heart to do that, right? But at the same time, I think we have been very blessed, to have met, sometimes through friends, through introductions, individuals that also carry that burden, that also want to bring forth the changes in that country or in their own country, and they think that Big Bad Wolf could be it, right? Because books is really powerful. Education is one main thing that could change the whole country, right? And we understood the value and the power of books. And in country where it's very, very poor, we've seen a lot of poverty in Philippines, we've seen a lot of poverty in Pakistan where we go. You can't imagine what a child world is if they have nothing. I mean, if you don't have a roof, there's a lot of homeless, over there. If you don't have a roof above your head, if you don't know what is your next meal going to be, I think it's very hard to have a dream. Then where does your aspiration and inspiration come from? If they have a book, it makes a lot of difference, right? I mean, if you can give them one book where they can see beyond the space that they are living, when they can imagine, when their brains start to be creative and imagine and be hopeful. We live on a hope, we live on a dream, and that could ignite something in them, you know, when they want to be better, when they look forward to something. I think that is the very basis of what Big Bad Wolf is, right? I mean, we can't change everyone, but we are just hoping that if there's just little by little, you know, the world will be a better place. And that effort could only be accomplished with like-minded individuals like Nishan and Deepak and our many partners in the other 10 countries that we are in, that's able to bring forth that to, you know, the other part of the world. While we are expanding, we're also looking at many different countries. So we're getting further and further. Like next year, we are thinking of, I mean, we're currently in Dubai, but we're thinking of reaching out to the other part of Middle East. We're even thinking of going to Africa, you know, and South America. So, you know, these are big dreams, even for me, right? Whether it happens or not depends whether we can find someone local that could make everything happen. You know, we don't go to a country by our own, it's always through a local partner. If you talk about just books, right, and reading, what I would change would be, I wish I know books younger. I didn't grow up in a privileged family, right? So my parents do not speak a word of English. I don't grow up in a house that is filled with books. There's no book at all at my home. So when you don't know, as a kid, you don't know. You don't know there are books out there to begin with, right? So in school, while I'm a pretty good student, I don't understand where my classmate get his answers from, because my general knowledge is really, really poor. I know what the teacher taught, but outside that, I don't know, right? At the same time, my composition skill is very, very poor. I have zero imagination. Not creative at all. When teacher asks you to write a story, you know, we have to write composition, right? I couldn't compose a story. I just cannot imagine how someone can write one page. I can't even write one paragraph, right? But you don't know. You think, you know, in my own mind, when you are 7, 8 years old, you think that, am I dumber? Am I more stupid? What is wrong with me? That why people can answer questions from pop quizzes, what I can't? What is wrong? You know, what did they have that I don't have? And then you realize they got it from books. Then you realize their parents bring them to libraries. There are libraries. You didn't even realize that there are libraries that have filled with books. And then there are many kind of books that provide many different kinds of knowledge, right? I was only introduced to proper reading. Of course, you know, when I started going to secondary school, there were school libraries with very limited books. But what is the turnaround for me was only when I was 14. Only when I was 14, a classmate of mine, during recess, was devouring over a book, a novel. And she was like reading. Then I'm like, come on, eat your food, you know. And she's like, no, last chapter. And then when she finished, you can see the satisfaction on her face, and then she passed the book. That's why I say share your book. That changed my life. You know, so she passed the book to me. She didn't give to me, she lent it to me. She said, would you like to read it? Right? The book is Sidney Sheldon's If Tomorrow Comes. So that is my very first book. Okay? And you know, for someone who never read it, so I started reading it, and it was so interesting, it was so exciting. I like her, I was so engrossed in the book. So the next 2 or 3 days, lunchtime, dinner time, I was on my bed reading. You know, my mom thought I don't know what I'm doing. But can you imagine, I discovered that joy of reading that could bring me to a different world, which I never knew, right? It could I can imagine, you know, all the characters in the book and stories as unfolding, only because I was lent, you know, I could borrow a book. So please, that is why Big Bang is very important. We need all our customers to do that. That one book that you pass on to someone else, right? You lend it to the person, you give it to the person, could change that person's life, right? So do be more generous, share your books.
But I can empathize, because until quite recently, actually, I was pretty poor. And the only reason I got out of that was because my parents had taught me English at an early age and had instilled in me a love for reading. And all of that, or writing, all of that came out of that, because otherwise I would not be, you know, on a stage talking to you guys and even asking questions even coherently, or semi-coherently as we are now. So on the subject of helping people, I want to ask a question. The first year, that you came, you had a massive CSR initiative, and that was part of the program, if I remember correctly. You worked with the authorities to give to, I think, the grade 5 scholarship children a whole batch of books for them to just read. And I saw something similar last year as well. What's happening this year? Do you have plans around that?
So this year we're working with an organization here that helps schools in impoverished schools. It's called the Center of Hope, and with them we hope to collect as many books as possible. I think there are a lot of schools, especially along the East Coast and the inner parts of the country, that don't have this privilege of accessing books. Not just books, but the knowledge it brings, literacy, which is, as Jacqueline very rightly said, is the basis for who we are and why we do things. So with that in mind, we do hope that all our customers this year, by all means, buy books for yourselves and buy books to share, but as you leave, buy a book for the child in need. Who knows, you could change that child's life one day.
For those that don't know, that program is called Red Readerhood. So everywhere we go, we bring Red Readerhood along, and we will look at in local context, especially the local partner, which beneficiary which we want to benefit. Sometimes it could even be more than one beneficiary. So for this year, Big Bad Wolf is pledging 500 books. So Center of Hope will receive minimum the 500 books from Big Bad Wolf. At the same time, we appeal to our customers to join in and to participate. So all the additional book that's collected, that's donated by customers, will be added onto the 500 books. And so of course we hope that we are able to give thousands of books to the underprivileged under Center of Hope. The last 2 years, interestingly, you remembered, the books that we gave to the grade 5, and last year was the grade 11 selected students. You can imagine the joy. They were given one empty trolley, and those who have been to Big Bad Wolf, that our trolley is a supermarket trolley. Yeah, it's a huge trolley. You can put actually a lot of books in the trolley, and you can see the way they were picking the book. It was the happiest time. Yeah, and actually that is Nishan's initiative.
Thank you so much for taking the time for answering all the questions, particularly at length, and that your life story was amazing. So a round of applause, please, for the panel.